Hello friends and welcome to Figure Study, where we are looking at the second of the two most recent Tobot V figures that I've gotten my hands on, and that is Tobot V Captain Jack. And I spoiled it in the Leo Kaiser video, so I'm going to preemptively spoil it here. I like Jack the best out of the two of them, for many reasons, but the thing is, Jack absolutely has flaws as a figure, but, and I don't say this lightly, he might actually be my new favorite non-combiner Tobot toy, which I think is saying a lot if you've watched any of my other Tobot videos, because Terracle's been at that top spot for a very long time. First off, this car mode, look at this car mode. This car mode is amazing. Leo Kaiser's car mode is very cool from like a muscle car standpoint, but Captain Jack is this extremely sleek, futuristic looking sports car that's cool in its own right. But the entire thing has this very cleverly integrated shark motif that's so fun. The way that the front slopes forward to kind of give it that like pointed shark nose. The headlights absolutely work as eyes. These little bits back here are totally the pectoral fins. Such clever design elements here. And then it even goes further. You've got vents back here that are very akin to gills. And of course this red stripe along the back that's basically like a dorsal fin. I love this car because it looks really cool and has a really interesting motif that's not immediately apparent if you're not necessarily looking for it. It absolutely looks like a shark, but not in a cartoonish way, sort of. I feel like this is something that you could potentially get away with not even acknowledging the fact that it has an obvious animal kind of theme going throughout its design. I also love the fact that Captain Jack's toe key integration is practically seamless. Unless you're familiar with this toy, you may not actually be able to tell where the toe key is right now, even though it is visible. It's not hiding underneath here, where all the standing up robot junk is. The toe key is here, but if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to spot it, unlike Leo Kaiser, who has a big frickin' lion sticking off the back. And again, looking at it from the back, there's no shark toe key back there. So I appreciate that very much. Also, the toe key is right here, which we will see when we do the transformation. I love the contours of this vehicle mode. I love the colors. It's a really nice blue with all these little black details here and there, and just those nice white lights for the eyes/headlights, and the silver on the rims, of course. And then what's going on back here, I did add some paint to the vehicle mode. There's way more that I added in robot mode, but the stuff for the vehicle mode that I added is the white for the license plate back here, which if I want to be 100% accurate, I need to paint the lettering in black, but it's so small, I'm not going to do that. And also these bits back here that are black, they come red on the figure, but I painted them black because this is the more show accurate deco. And if I was doing everything else more show accurate, I felt like I should stick with the show accurate theme all the way. And around the front, the only thing that I painted are these two smaller vents up here to kind of go along with the bigger vents here. And that's all that was painted for the vehicle mode, but it's going to be way more in robot mode. But anyway, yeah, I adore this vehicle mode. It is so neat. It's very sleek, and I love how it's got that sharkness to it, which you don't even necessarily know unless you're looking for it. And I also particularly love the fact that he stows his toe key, and it even integrates into the vehicle mode. But anyway, yes, size comparisons. Let's do this before I go completely off track. Here he is with a standard deluxe, and he is much bigger, as we all expected by now. Here he is with Terracle, who again is an older Tobot, so much bigger and much bulkier. Here he is with his series/wave buddy, Leo Kaiser, and there are definitely like very different aesthetics going on here between the two cars. And I do think Leo Kaiser's car mode looks very cool, but I adore Captain Jack's vehicle mode. Leo Kaiser's doesn't really have the subtle animalistic theming to it. He just has a lion face on the back. Not quite the same thing. Here he is with Tobot V Big Trail, which, works pretty well. Though, of course, the big problem with Big Trail is... And here he is with the duck tank. Alright, transformation time. And just like Leo Kaiser, I'm going to do the non-powered up mode first, then the powered up mode. To start, I want to nudge this little tab out from under here, and then pry this way a little bit so that you can disengage that peg. Then you can bring the arm forward. Do the same thing on this side. Get that little tab through there. Pop that peg out, and then bring the arm forward. Then you want to hinge these out on this double hinge here. Hinge that out. And for me, I just bring them out like that just to kind of get things out of the way, get a little bit more clearance. Not that you'd really need it, but I like to not even worry about banging stuff together. From there, I'm going to pull up on these side mirrors because there are two little pegs down here that peg into the backs of what will become the legs. So pop that up. And those are the little peg holes. Those are those little pegs. So with that popped up, this section here will hinge and hinge forward here, all the way like that. And we can split the legs, bring them out, rotate this section here around, like so. These bits will flip up, and these bits will flip up, and that gives him legs. Now the arms can come back down again. And from here, you want to fold the front windshield underneath like that. Pop this back, and there are two little pegs here that peg in up in here. So when you push this into place, it just kind of settles in like that. So just pull that out, pop it up. And as you swing this down, here is the toe key, which you can pop out. There we go. So toe key, remove that. And now I find the easiest way to get the head out is to push from under here. Like there's the top of the head. You want to push and swing it up on this hinge. So as you kind of pull this bit back, push up, that will get the head panel going. And once that's going, it's much easier to grab it, swing it around, and it will clip into place in the chest there. And this little bit back here just folds in to tuck behind the head and clean up a little bit. That is Captain Jack in his regular mode. With regards to the toe key, he cannot, you can't really leave it where it was in vehicle mode because that's now covered up with this panel. But I've found that you can stow it anyway because he's got this gap back here. So you can just put the toe key, nestle it in like that, close the back panel up, and it rattles a little bit, but it's not actually going to fall out. So you can store the toe key back there without worrying about it getting in the way or anything. And so there we have Captain Jack in his robot mode, and this is very cool. He definitely runs with the shark theme, even more than Leo Kaiser runs with the lion theme. He is a shark-themed pirate, which is amazing. I love that just on its own, but there's so much sharky stuff going on here. Some of the stuff that I didn't even notice until I was seeing it pointed out in other videos. You can kind of get a feel for it looking at the hat up here, which we'll see in more detail in a minute. Also, on the forearms here, there are what look like could be shark's teeth and shark's fins on the gauntlets there. He has a shark-themed pelvis. And then down here, in terms of pirate theming, he has what totally looks like cannon ports, cannon ports for cannons, like you'd see on the side of a ship, just on his shins. But then you get into the weird stuff, like the fact that he has shark-themed feet, and his heels have sharks molded into them. The insides of his heels, it's ridiculous, and I love that. In terms of the pirate stuff, he's got the little anchor tattoo on his shoulder up there. He's got an eye patch. It's great. I love the motif that they went with on this guy. It's very fun. And in terms of the painting that I did on this guy, there is a lot more in robot mode. I did the insides of the heels. I painted those black. Again, this is all to be more show accurate, so if I got anything wrong, I'm just going by the video and stills that I was using. But did the insides of both heels black. I did the blue on the hips there and the black in the thighs on the front and on the back. I added the black strip going down the midsection because in the original version of the toy that is just white. And of course I did the white license plate there and the black in the chest there. That would have been blue and then red like the taillights going across. And lastly, there is that head, which has it's a wonderful mishmash of pirate and shark. Because he's got kind of like a pirate captain's shaped hat almost, but it's also a shark, where it's, got the mouth kind of coming up over the face, little eyes up there, which the eyes were not painted, so I painted those as well. And I also did the venting on the sides here, just using a little panel liner because it was the easiest way to do it. And of course you could see the eye patch. And this is a fun head. The Leo Kaiser head is interesting in some respects, but like Captain Jack's is very distinct. This is a very, very fun themed robot character. I will say, I mentioned that he definitely has his flaws. For me, the big flaw is his shoulders, because he cannot rotate his arms forward or backward. It just does not work. And there's no way to really adjust these joints in here to make that happen, because these are molded into the torso. Like, this is part of that piece. And these bits, there's nothing there to allow for rotation. And where it attaches on the inside of the arm, you can see it's also joined with the ratchet joint that lets the arms move forward. So you really just don't have a means to add any kind of rotation to the arms, and that's a shame. I do wish that he had a bit more posability, but I'm generally okay with it because this is just a very cool figure. And once I did some painting on him, I really grew to love him. So yeah, love this. Love the colors, love the color scheme. I think that making him look a little bit more show accurate also definitely helps, because he's not bad by any means without the coloration, but just having those little extra bits of color, even in this mode, like in the thighs, in the midsection, up in the chest, absolutely helps. But this is just his regular mode, so we need to do the powered up mode. And to do that, I'm going to get the toe key out from back there, and I'm going to plug it in first. This just plugs in right there, and unlike Leo Kaiser's toe key, it doesn't just plug in, it actually does stuff. So when you plug it in, 3 things happen. Well, technically 2. These bits on the shoulders here pop up, and this springs open to give it a shark with an open, toothy grin kind of thing going. That's really cool. And I did paint the red on these. These are normally solid black. So that is the first step. I also want to come back here and pop up this little fin on the top of the head, which doesn't stick out very far, but it sticks out far enough to get the job done, I think. So there's that. Then you want to rotate the fist in, which will open up this door and allow you to rotate it all the way around to reveal a hook. Then you close the door, and now he's got a hook hand. Then you reach in here and pull on these bits to pop up these little knee spikes, and I painted the white on the knee spikes. The shape is different here versus what's actually in the show, so I just kind of worked with what I had. And I ended up keeping the paint just inside these little crevices here because of the way that this has to slide into the knee. I figured if I painted up here, it would just scrape off every time I transformed it. And lastly, you pull here. There are little bits here and back here that you can grip to pull out and pop open these little pods on his legs to reveal cannons, kind of. And that is Captain Jack in his powered up mode. Aside from the baggy pants thing going on here, I love this. This looks fantastic. I love the difference in the colors, how you've got this mostly dark tones down here with like the darker gunmetal-y gray, a little bit of silver, but like the gunmetal gray and the blue, but then now you've got these big white and red spikes sticking out. I also like the contrast of the asymmetry with the hook hand on one side, the regular hand on the other, and of course it adds that splash of red. I love the chest deco up here, how the shark incorporates really well, and has a similar deco to the top of his hat, where you've got that red fin going there, but also the red fin kind of up there. It's even interesting how with the engine detailing kind of on the sides here, it almost blends into the sides of the chest, which adds to it even further. And I love these little pop-up tail fin missile launcher things, because that just looks great, and that little splash of red again adds just a nice something extra to what's going on up in that upper body. As I said, I'm not a super big fan of these being out because I feel like it just bulks his legs out too much, but since this is a toy and I can, do what I want with it, I can just push those back in, and that slims up his legs a little bit. And this is how I prefer to have Captain Jack displayed. And so let's move him off to the side, because you all know what time it is. Here he is with a standard deluxe. The size comparison's kind of like a given at this point with all of these Tobots I've been looking at lately. Here he is with Terrical, and as was the case with Leo Kaiser, he is definitely smaller and less bulky than a classic Tobot. Here he is with Tobot v Big Trail, so you can see how he stacks up to a more kind of vaguely in the same line, kind of, at least same series kind of figure. And here he is, bring him in a little bit. Here he is with his series / wave whatever buddy, Leo Kaiser, also in his powered up mode. And just because, even though there's no height difference, here they are together in their not powered up modes, their normal modes, whatever you want to call it. And here he is with the duck tank. Now, ordinarily this is where I would say I'm done talking about Captain Jack, but there is one thing I wanted to do, and that is a little bit of a fan mode that I showed off on Instagram, which, let me just get his arms in position here. And it's actually, I kind of like it. So it's really simple. You just fold up a little plank on his back, and this can pop out of the back section here. It's just these little divots here that these clip into. So if you pop that out, you can bring this around his fist and kind of, there we go. So you nestle that around his arm, and you can give him a pretty convincing looking giant plank of a shield. And that's pretty cool. It gets rid of the little turtle shell thing he has going on back there, and from these angles, I think it looks pretty darn neat. In particular like this, where he's got the big shield on display. Though it does make the emptiness back here very apparent. But yeah, that's just kind of a neat little fan mode-y type thing you can do with this guy that I think is pretty cool. And it would be even cooler if you could move his arms better, but whatever. So yeah, that is it for Tobot v Captain Jack. Very cool figure. Like I said, I think this is now my new favorite non-combining Tobot toy. There's just something about the look. The transformation is fun. I love the power-up Toki gimmick and how it doesn't actually get in the way of anything. And you actually have a place to put the Toki in every single mode, even if putting it in the back when he's not powered up isn't the official thing. It's still, there's a place that you can put it. And I just love the theme here. He's a pirate with a shark theme, and you see that in every single mode, and it's very, very fun. It's just a fun concept. Color scheme's great. It's all fun. But that's enough about what I think. What do you all think of Tobot v Captain Jack? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.